I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
Since yesterday.
Yeah,
No,
it's been at least 24 hours.
not
At
quite.
least.
Hey, what episode is this, guys?
160.
Wow.
Wow.
That's one more than 159.
You
Man,
did,
it's right before 161 too.
y'all are
Yep.
doing that in your head? Are you doing that in your
Yep.
head?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm really
I
good at
haven't
math.
I have an app for that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, let's get through some of this stuff because we have quite the weekend to discuss,
Woo.
I believe. So I would like to let everybody know that we have three new patrons.
Yes.
Three.
Wow. Most excellent.
That's three more than we had last time. I just did that in my head.
You're good.
Yeah, that's true. Our first one is a tool sharpener, and he goes by the name of David.
Hi, David. Welcome.
That's it. It's just David.
Hi,
That's
David.
okay.
Hi, David. Welcome.
Welcome to
Welcome.
David.
We have another
Thank you.
new patron who is an apprentice,
Oh.
Mr. Peter Baker.
Hi, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter Baker.
And if I remember correctly, Peter was already a patron. I think this is who I had the conversation with. He was already a patron, but he wanted to upgrade to apprentice, but he paid for the full year and he had like 1 month left. And so he went to go upgrade. And because he already paid for the year, it won't allow him to upgrade, which is really weird. So I had to refund him his final month of pay. As soon as I did that, he was able to sign up. So if anybody's listening to this and they're like, hey, I want to upgrade, and you can't do it for some reason, it's because you paid for a year and there's workarounds
Well, good.
around
Cool.
That's
that.
good. That's a good public service message.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to upgrade.
Don't be afraid to
Jason,
upgrade. Just shoot me a message.
Jason's got you.
We'll be
Yes.
glad to upgrade you. All right. And then last but certainly not least, somebody who I got to finally meet in person and both of you got to meet for the first time is now a member, Mr. Ben Brunt,
Woo,
Awesome.
Ben.
signed up as a tool sharpener.
That's
Wicked
awesome.
cool. Welcome,
We-
Ben.
We all got to meet him in person. That's so cool.
Yeah.
As glad as I am that now Ben is part of our Patreon community, the wonderful Patreon community that we're about to talk about tonight. I can't believe that Ben was not already a patron.
It's cool, dude. He's a cool dude, man.
Unbelievable, Ben. Unbelievable.
No, you know why? He grew up in Scarborough, Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to hang out with him. What was the name of that brewery? Oh, Statline.
Start line. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
brewery. Well, we're gonna be talking a lot about this weekend.
Good wingies.
We're not doing a giveaway tonight or the next episode, I don't believe. Just so everybody knows, I will not be on next week's episode. Let you know now so you can actually listen to it, not be annoyed. But it'll just be these two knuckleheads because I will be in Deutschland. But
Woo.
our giveaway
Fatherland.
sponsor for this month, bye, is Bits. Three $50 gift cards to one of our lucky patrons. Actually, I should say three of our lucky patrons, which we will
Nice.
draw at the beginning of next month. Now, speaking of Patreon, we just got back. We would talk about what we've been up to, but we're literally going to talk about that on this episode because it's what we've all been up to. We just got back from our very first patron drawing winner. So for those of you that don't know, or you're listening to this for the first time, for our, what is it, journeyman level? Yeah, journeyman.
Yes. Journeyman.
For our journeyman level, we offer a drawing that we do once a year where the three of us will actually fly out to your location or something that we've been talking about, which I'm sure we'll talk about in this episode as an alternative. But Steve Iadarola was our first winner, and we were just outside of Boston in a little town called Milford, and it was awesome.
And it was Norm Abrams' birthplace, correct?
What, Milford?
Yeah. I think Sedge told me that.
No, I think actually Steve told us that.
Oh,
He was
really?
born
I
in
thought-
Milford?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. He said his grandparents lived right down the street and that's where he was born. That's kind of
Well,
cool.
I feel like we always have known Steve is a bit of a liar. Can we
Well, I think it
can we
was
really
because I
trust what he
asked
says?
him. I told him I know I've heard of Milford before, and it was this old house related. And I said, "Why have I heard of Milford, Mass?" On he goes, "Well, Norm was born in Milford, so that's what he told me." So it was cool. I could see it too, especially for where Norm worked. It kind of does seem like it makes sense, but that's what we learned.
Hmm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes,
So, who wants to kick us off?
You go, Ronnie.
Miko.
You go.
I mean, I just it was a great. I feel like that both sides win-win. I think Steve had a great time. I think we had a great
Oh,
time.
okay. Just alert here. You ready? I just looked
Yeah.
up Norm on Wikipedia. He was born in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, but he was raised, Steve's right, in Milford, Massachusetts, where he attended high school. We actually drove by that high school, didn't we?
We did. You know what? That I guess that actually is a better point. That it doesn't really matter where you're born; it's where you were raised and grew up.
Yep.
So that's cool that he was raised and grew up there. That's really neat. Um, we couldn't have had a better host with Steve. I mean, he showed us around, took us to the places you would never know about, places to go eat, and like the lunch spot, dinner spot, everything was just amazing. Locals, you could tell we were the only people there that were not locals, but
What do you mean? I
just
totally
crazy.
seem like I'm from there.
It was we couldn't even
Yeah.
try to fit in. What a Sedge can. Sedge,
Yeah,
as long
Sedge
as we
can.
if we keep our mouths shut and just let Sedge talk for us,
Yeah.
we could totally seem like locals. Yeah.
They would just assume that we're all from there. I mean, heck, most people always assume that Sedge is from Boston.
Yeah.
Man,
He
I'm going
can.
to tell you, Gene's Variety, one of the best subs I've had. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
Oh,
It was crazy. So
It was
good.
good.
So
Good
good.
little small town at sandwich shop. So for those that are curious about what this whole thing is, because we understand that not everybody hears all of our episodes, but this whole thing was designed so like we would fly out on a Friday and then we'd spend all day Saturday with the person that wins, whether it's in their shop or whatever the case is. Honestly, it's up to them. Um, and then we come back on Sunday. So it's really only a 36-hour type deal. Um, but we got there on Friday, had dinner all together, and plus with some local people, spent the whole day at his house on Saturday. Then we had like a meetup in the area, which was fantastic. That was like probably one of the funnest things was that meetup on Saturday night for sure at the brewery. But Sedge, you got any thoughts?
it was a wicked good time.
Wicked good.
Yeah. I It was so much fun. And I get to teach a little bit of Tormac and hung out with some great hand tools. Steve, you get a hell of a collection of Lee Nielsen and other makers. And he has, I believe, everything from Lee Nielsen ever produced. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that
So
was
it was,
crazy.
I'll tell you what got me was when we showed up Saturday. Okay, Friday night was fantastic. Everything could not have gone better. But Saturday morning was a blur
Yeah.
because I walked in and you guys went over to the bench room and I went to the machine room with Steve. And then all of a sudden I walked in, you guys were laughing. And it was like, oh, when I walked in the bench room because I couldn't believe his tools, his hand tools. So that was about 9:30, I think. I all of a sudden someone says go to lunch. I go, in my head, we just got here. It was 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it was 1:30.
Holy
Yeah.
crap, did it?
Yeah.
That was a blur.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we got back and he had gotten a Tormac and we trued the stone. I went through that with him, went through sharpening that cobalt chisel just so he could understand it. Jason, you and Ronnie were both watching, and then we sharpened his Benchmade knife. And I guess that was a pretty good lesson.
Yeah.
It was.
And next thing I know, it was 4 o'clock, and some of the other patrons that Steve had invited started showing up. And what a great home you have, Steve. It was,
Yeah.
and you were such a great host just to hang out. And then we went to Statline Brewing. So that Union was it Union Street Tavern or Friday night? What's that called?
Hmm.
Yeah, you
Uh, I think so.
Depot Tavern.
Depot.
Depot.
Yeah.
It
Depot.
was
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Boy, that was some great wingies, great beers.
Mhm.
What was that? I had the baby kittens IPA. That was pretty damn
Kitten
good.
mittens.
Kitten
Yeah,
mittens.
oh, Ronnie,
Kitten
you were
mittens.
so damn funny that night.
Wow.
God.
Combining names to throw her off. It didn't throw her off though. She knows her stuff. It's
Yeah,
like,
it
give me the
was.
kittens mittens.
Give me
Two
the
different
kittens
ones. She's
mittens.
like, which one is it? The kittens or the mittens? I was like, oh, okay.
So anybody like traveling the rest of my life and somebody mentions Milford, I'm just gonna say, hey, you've been to Depot Tavern? That is such an iconic place. It was so great. And then, of course, Saturday night, boy, we had a lot of patrons show up, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That
It was
was
like,
let's
cool.
shout all them out that came. So who
Yeah.
we had Don Sargood,
Yeah.
we had Mr.
Lido,
Eric Barber, Mike Lyden,
Adam Fuller.
Adam Fuller, Michael
the mayor,
Shea,
the
right? Michael
mayor.
Shea.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, thank you for the coffee. That
Oh,
was
yes.
wonderful.
I showed my wife today. She's extremely excited. Thank you.
Oh, I wanted to drink that this morning. Dang it. Am I missing anybody?
Ben Brunt.
Bryant.
Ben Brunt came and met us
Yep.
at the place. I think that's everyone, right?
Yeah, we're forgetting somebody.
No, I think that's
It,
everybody.
You
it's
said
cool that
Don.
Mhm.
that Eric brought his kids too. That was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were, I think they had some fun too. And they actually had fun at the meet before they were doing the shooting board and squaring up wood and using the hand plane. It was really cool. That
Yeah.
was neat. And
He was into it. His oldest was really into it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All I'm going to say is you guys are being too nice. I'm going to be the jerk now. You ready?
Oh, you're gonna be a
Yeah.
jerk.
Go ahead.
Well, we showed up there and we get off the plane, share my
Oh,
location,
Here we go.
share my location with Steve. And I'm thinking, I can't make it any easier for the guy. Right. And, we're waiting and waiting. We got there a little bit early. I'll give Steve that. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. And then all of a sudden, off in the distance, I see Steve's truck driving by. There it goes. See you
Hey
later.
kids. Hey kids. Big Ben Parliament.
because you had
Yeah.
his dot. You had his dot. You
I
could
didn't have
watch.
it at that point.
Oh, okay.
So about 5 or 10 minutes went by, and then all of a sudden I looked at my messages, and he was sharing his location, and he said it took him uh he has to go around the airport or whatever. And
Yeah.
he's like 20 minutes away.
It's
He
in
went under
Southie.
he went under the through the tunnel or whatever, had to turn around, come all the way back. So then we're watching his dot in live time. And the guys thought this was hilarious because I was watching it like a hawk. And all of a sudden, we see this blue dot. I'm like, oh, he should be pulling in now. He's pulling up. And we're watching the dot, and the dot keeps coming closer, 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 right over the top of us, and then continues on and goes out. And so then he was on the wrong level. And so then he had to make the loop again. And then that's when I think I saw it looked like he was driving across the tarmac.
Yeah.
And he ended up at Terminal E, which is a different terminal. And he stopped. And so I wrote him and I'm like, or no, he wrote me and he said, hey, I'm here behind whatever car. I think I'm in the right place. And I said, we're at Terminal A. Just go to the dot. And then finally Steve showed up.
I swear to God, I thought he had his phone on a squirrel that was running across the tarmac, the runway.
I did too. But
So, can I just stick up for Steve real quick?
yes, you can.
Okay, so Steve, you don't know this yet, but our Lyft driver was like unbelievable. He was great. Didn't say a word the whole trip. Then we found out why. We were saying he went right by Terminal A, and then he did a loop, came back, and he was going by it again, and we're pointing, and I had to actually give him sign language like this from the back seat, make an A with my hand. Remember?
Yeah.
At first, you were like A. He kept going A.
And he was
it
trying to
A.
go to E.
It was the first fork, and we made it through. And we're like, okay, we're good. And then there was another A moment, and then one person, I think, Sedge goes blue, A, blue. It was a blue square. We're like, we got it. He still is not going to take the right. So Sedge sticks his hand from the back seat and makes an A with his fingers and goes
Like a triangle.
A. and it still did not register. Like we did everything but take the steering wheel and pull it to the right.
The
It,
only
and
the
the only
only
reason
thing
why I
he
was stressing is because I knew if you make the wrong turn from our experience before, that could be really bad. So I was like,
and
no, we have to make this gate.
and he didn't even say anything. He
No,
grunted. He
he
grunted.
never he never said a word the
Mhm.
entire ride. Not one from the time that he didn't even say goodbye, thank you, nothing. Completely did not speak English in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, Steve, you are the ultimate pickup artist.
Yes, because Steve hooked us up in luxury. We had water bottles in our door. I
Yes.
mean,
That is
he
true. We did have water bottles
yes,
in the door. I'll give him that.
yes, and that was
And
nice because we got to experience the traffic.
oh, I forgot, guys.
Yeah, he
Oh,
said it was normal. It was just, it was like on the interstate going 15, 10, 5,
so
10.
we jump in and Jason was in front. He says, "Is that right?" And what was it? 28 miles, hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like 48 miles and it was an hour and like 48 minutes or something like that.
The math doesn't math, but it mathed.
I mean,
Wow.
let's be honest though. Had he just picked us up, you know, on the first try, we probably would have
Yeah.
made it back a lot faster.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he was trying to let the traffic build up, like he had some vendetta towards us.
We did get a nice 10, 15 mile per hour tour though with our water bottles, and we got to watch and see everything and kind of get
Yeah.
a
Really
good
take in
view.
the leaves.
Yeah, we saw Fenway Park and
It was full. It was Peepa weekend too. Peepa.
yes. Yeah, what'd you ask in the elevator at the hotel? Jason, what did she ask you?
Oh, have you got to see any of the foliage yet? She was wanting to
Colors.
know. She was a visitor and she was wanting to know if there was like a trail or something that they could just go drive around on. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the person to ask. And then the husband looked at her. I didn't tell you guys this part. The husband looked at her, was like, we don't have time. And she goes, we have time. I'll make
Oh,
time. And I was like, oh, dang.
Ooh,
yeah, that's when you
there was
turn to
a
him. That's when you go, yeah, I've actually came here and I've dedicated 4 days with my wife just to look at foliage
Yeah.
there was a lot of
to get
weird
off the
people.
elevator.
It was we ran into a lot of weird people, didn't we? Whether
Yeah.
at the airport or the freaking hotel. Holy crap. I got off the elevator. I had just finished my walk run and I went up to the room. I came back down to get a coffee. And as I get off the elevator, this guy's just standing there staring at me. I went, good morning. He went, uh. And I went, okay. He was older. And then all of a sudden he started following me. This is like about 6 a.m. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good. So I'm getting my coffee. And he comes and stands next to me, staring at me. And I went, good morning. And he went, good morning. And I was just like, okay, get my coffee and beat feet because this guy's a weirdo. I think he was really disorientated more. So it was fun.
Hey,
Maybe he
and
had a
Speaking of
good
dis
night.
then there's a
speaking
guy
of
that
disorientation, boy, that was fun Saturday night back at the hotel, huh?
you were also. I thought you were also the guy that came up to us in the airport too. That when we were waiting for Steve,
Oh
the
my
guy that
God.
worked. I thought the guy
Oh, yeah.
was not a traveler, but apparently he was, and he was asking us directional advice of where the Uber pickup was. And I'm thinking, you're asking the wrong people. We're standing here with bags. We don't know any better than you do. But that was, yeah, we did find some interesting things. What were you saying, Sedge? You said that about Friday night or Saturday night,
Saturday night, we were like, what time did that place close? It closed at 9,
I
didn't it?
think 8:15
9:30.
maybe.
9:30. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
man, it was cool.
I find that so weird. But Steve said that
Yes,
all the places around there are like that. Like
Yeah.
that town in particular, they just
Yeah. So
don't
Hopkinton.
stay open. Yeah, they don't stay open late. I'm like, man, they could have made. Well, they weren't really that busy, but everybody that's local knows that they closed at that time, so they probably didn't stick around. But
right, right.
I mean, I would just like to stay there for at least like another hour.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Kind of
know?
felt like we stayed as long as we possibly could.
Yeah.
Um,
Last time I had been in Hopkinton, I got dropped off there and I ran into Boston. I did the Boston.
Ooh.
That's where the Boston Marathon stats is in Hopkinton.
Oh, that was a neat
So
place.
so think about how far out we were. Now you got to run that into Boston.
I think it'd been faster than our ride
Yeah,
from there
most
to
likely. Most likely.
The person
It
of the
was
world.
fun. The good thing is we all got to talk on the way there. It wasn't that bad. We were all able to.
Oh my God. We
No
had
big deal.
it
Well,
was
yeah, the
just
trip to his place was nice. The one to the airport, because it was just so incredibly quiet, although we were all pretty tired.
Yeah, it wasn't hard to pass the time with sleeping.
Ronnie, Ronnie, you don't even remember. You were like zonked out the whole way
Yeah,
in.
my goal was to sleep in the car. I was like, if I can just sleep in the car, because we were, I think went to bed. I was like around 4-ish is when I went to bed on Saturday night in the morning. And I remember Jason saying something like, I'm gonna have the Uber driver pick us up at 9:15. I was like, okay, I'll be up by then anyway. And I just happened to look at my phone and it was on silent and it said Uber driver's picking us at 8:45. I was like, okay, same thing. No big difference. But I got down there. But I was so dead tired when I came home last night and I was like sitting with Kelly on the couch. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna have some kind of wind down time, whatever. I looked up and I'd been asleep for an hour sitting up. I fell asleep sitting. She was like, hey, sleepyhead. I didn't even know that had been. She goes, you just need to go on and go to bed. And I'm like, no, I want to stay up. She's like, okay. Did it again. Woke up 45 minutes later. My eyes were closed. And then I went to bed earlier than I normally do. And I woke up the same time I normally do, like early. But I took my batteries to the limit, I think, on the
Yeah,
weekend, which is fun. I mean, that's what
me
happens
too.
when you travel. But whoa,
Me too.
it was
I'm
fun.
so glad I took today off from my day job and I just worked in a shop all day, but I was just dragging.
hmm Mine was shop day today too, and it was nice. I was able to, kind of get back. I just did a lot of organizing and burn pile. Always feels good just do like a burn pile. You feel so productive, and it's such a little amount of work.
Yeah.
But I burned a lot of stuff. But
Oh, wow.
it was a great weekend, and we've got a really strong core group in the New England area. It's very clear to me that the people that came out, and some people drove for a 3 hours round trip. It was we had Newport, Rhode Island. We had we had people from all over the
Upstate
New
New
England area
York.
come. Yeah,
Yep.
all over.
Maine.
It was so cool, and it's all. I mean, we feel like we know. We see these people on the monthly calls. We see these people, and it's just really cool to see them in person and just kind of reconnect and talk about. We all have plenty of stuff to talk about. That's always clear.
Oh yeah. It was cool. Another call out is on Friday night, Jeff Fitzsimmons came and hung out with us too. That was
Ah,
cool.
true. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was cool.
Very
Yeah.
fun.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ronnie, because that was going to be the thing that I brought up is it's like really, and we talked about this a little bit. It's really just starting to blow my mind, the community that we've built or that we're building around this podcast. And I know that like a lot of people say that, blah, 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 blah. But look how many events that we go to and how many of them come and how our core group is always including those patrons. Like
hmm
they've just become a part of this hangout. And it's like they're not. Steve made a comment, a joke, and some other people have said this before too in the past, but the whole, you know, yeah, basically I'm paying you to be friends. It's like that's not how we look at it at all, which is probably why we
Yeah.
don't uh outside of the podcast really talk about Patreon very much. If you're a patron, you are help supporting us to do these types of things that allow us to build this community, right? Go on these trips, do the meetups. Obviously, as they get bigger and better, and we start offering more, there's more costs associated with that. But you guys are helping keep this podcast going and allow us the ability to do these things.
And yeah,
So we
it,
don't want it to for you to ever feel like that's the case because we are all friends regardless. Like if you'd
right.
stopped being a patron today, that's not going to change the relationship. If we're in Boston
Well,
again and none of those guys were patrons, guess who would be hanging out with? Our friends,
Yeah.
right? So
yeah.
And to that note, I mean, I've heard that comment before too. And before I was involved in this podcast, I used to hear people say support us, and I thought support me meant give me money that I can go spend somewhere. But support I've realized from this podcast is just supporting the back end operations, which is always higher than I would have ever thought. I mean, we just talk about not just the events and the things, just all the things the costs associated down to stickers and just going to locations. It all costs, especially when it's three people. So it's nice to see
especially
the the podcast is supporting those kind of activities and the things that are required to make it good for the listener. So I see it differently than I used to now that I'm actually involved with one. But support actually does mean, in a way, like keep the lights on,
Right.
where you're not going negative. That's
Hey,
the big part.
hey, Ron, you want to hear a good one? You remember how Jason and I were mixing up our backpacks all weekend?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, did you really?
so I get about a quarter mile down the road, and I said, "What are the odds?" So I pulled over in that first rotary circle there, went off to the side, pulled over, and I go, it's worth the 30 seconds to check. I jump out of the Jeep, I look, and I go, son of I had his bag.
Do you remember I told one of you, I was like, yours is in the car seat. I think it was you, Sedge. Yours is in the car seat. That
I
didn't, that
grabbed the one out of the car seat for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what we've learned here is maybe y'all need to put your stickers on your bag and not
Yeah.
look like
Need
little
to
20s with your
need to
festival
mark it.
backpacks.
Oh my
You know,
God.
and on that note, I've put the sticker that's on my bag. I put it on there when I first got it, like 3 years ago. That's the same sticker, the original sticker. It's been in the rain. It's amazing how strong those are. They just hold up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a Dirk from Dayton sticker on mine.
Whatever it takes to know, whatever
Yeah.
it takes.
I don't know. That would cheapen the bag too much. Be a good
Yeah.
deterrent for anybody to steal it.
Yeah.
Be like, Dirk from Dayton. No, I don't need that.
That
You know
was
what
for any
6 weeks away is?
what?
Hartfield Tool. And then we get some more patrons coming to visit us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
yeah.
curious to see how many actually come. So if you're listening to this, everybody, and you live in the Hartville, Ohio area, consider going to the Hartville Tool Show on the 21st and 22nd, I believe, the Friday and Saturday of 21st, 22nd of November. Come hang out. That's a really fun show.
Weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's packed, but lots of amazing deals. That's
And
one of
we
the few
get to-
times of the year that I actually buy things.
And we get together on Friday night afterwards, after the show, and get some pizza pies and hang out, drink a couple beers, and crash. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's gonna good. Now there is one thing that I want. Well, actually, before we get into that, if you're listening to this and you think that this is something that you would be interested in, then consider becoming a journeyman. And we know that it's a large expense. However, it kind of has to be, because I can tell you that this trip for the three of us to go on was cost us more money than the meetup did. And so if anybody went to the meetup, um, it's not cheap, these things. So it's totally fine. It was worth every single penny. But if you have an opportunity, or you think that that would be an opportunity you'd be interested in, consider becoming a journeyman. And I will say that next year, so we're going to do one drawing a year still for now, but next year we will open it up, and we'll either give you the option of, you can either come to us or we can go to you, because we understand that not everybody may want three people to come and invade their personal space, or maybe there's something around here and you want to come hang out in our shops for a day and go get some good Ale Emporium wings. But that is an option, and we will be drawing much earlier next year. And the reason we're going to draw much earlier is because this was like the one weekend that we all had that we could make work. And so we actually want to draw earlier to give ample time, and have a lot more opportunities to come out when it's convenient for the individual.
Mm-hmm.
So if that interests you, think about becoming a patron. And if that is too much, then just become a patron and hang out with us.
And not only that, and we were talking about what a deal it is. Not only do you get that opportunity, you also get the opportunity to win constant things. It's crazy.
Oh, that's true.
The amount of things that we give away, it's crazy.
And you get to be part of Discord.
And Discord is active group.
That's open to everybody.
Yeah, you get so many perks in being part of a group. And we've talked about it before, but I'll hit on it again. Our patrons, our group, not only we all share a common thread with, say, like woodworking, Festool, different brands, high-end brands, we all like share that community. A lot of people that are not professionals, their day job it's like IT. It's it's all these specialties, mechanic level things.
HVAC.
A boat electrical engineer I was talking to, it was telling me all They are, yeah, HVAC. I mean, there's so many specialty trades that we have such a powerful group. You ask them and they just start firing off things. It's really cool. It's not only a woodworking space, it's a lot of people who know a lot about a lot of things. It's very
Well,
clear.
because you said that, so I talked to Ben Brunt when he was after we had all left, and he had immediately said, you know, what a great group. And he's just recently gone off on his own and started doing client work. And he had a good conversation with me, Sedge, Adam, with Ronnie, and kind of people giving him pointers and stuff. And his reaction, you know, he told me straight up, he's like, that's a really awesome like group of dudes that you had there. Like that's a great like I'm so glad that I met these people. And that's just the kind of community. And that goes right along with what Ronnie is talking about.
Yeah.
You get to network with other people that have specialty and have experience in the things that maybe you're looking for experience in, and or have, you know, amazing skills that can make your business even better.
Or
And
I mean,
John is a perfect example of that for me.
yeah, or I mean, if say you want to go into mouse pad business, we got
Yeah.
that covered.
True. We got that covered.
Yeah.
We have Patrick from Mouse
Yeah.
Pads by Patrick. He
Got it.
he can tell you everything you need to know about putting some stitching on a rectangular piece of leather and stamping leather by dragonfly into it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really
Let's get some competition going.
oh man,
Snapdragon.
he's gonna love
Snapdragon
that.
mouse pads.
Snapdragon, yeah, yeah, Calavera mouse pads.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Uh,
um. Oh, now one thing that I do want everybody listening to know. So it's no surprise by now. You've probably heard. I also don't think it's any coincidence that we've actually started getting patrons coming back on again since we did the meetup. It was a massive success, but one of the things that we did is we purposely met up early, went to the airport, hung out, and went over every single piece of feedback that we got. And so thank you to everybody who filled out that survey. Just
yes.
about everybody that attended,
Yes.
every patron that attended filled it out. There's only like two or three, I think, that didn't. Um, but we have all the information that we need because most things were unanimous. A lot of really great suggestions. Most people's ideas were very similar to one another. So we got a really good idea. And all I can tell you is that next year, it is going to be really, really good. And
And
keep an eye out. Yeah,
and
because
that was 2 hours, by the way, that meeting.
yeah,
Just on the results. We spent 2 hours on that.
while Ronnie sipped his mimosas.
Yeah. How many mimosas was that there?
Two.
Oh,
Yeah.
two.
Was it two? Three?
Yeah, to be fair, I had a couple mimosas too. I didn't want you to be
Yeah.
the only one with your
Yeah.
pinky up.
It's orange juice.
I know it's okay in the morning, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mimosas are fine. It's totally
Yeah.
like no one can look down on you.
No, not at all.
No, but
So
next,
that's
oh God, I cannot wait.
I had a coffee.
Yeah, yeah, he did. Next year is going to be amazing. And all I will say is that you will have an opportunity to secure your tickets to that event before the end of the year.
yes. Yes.
We are
Yes.
coming
And
soon.
I'm
I'm excited.
extremely excited.
Me
We're
too.
taking what we did and we're building on it. And it's going to be huge.
It's going to be
Okay.
huge.
Okay. So we're at Steve's house. I want to get into this because I was freaking out on his collection of hand planes and stuff like that. But I
Were you?
from no. But
I didn't
here's
even
what I
notice.
want to ask each of you. I was thinking about this today. What tool did you pick up out of Steve's that you really liked and why? I'll start with you, Ronnie.
The spoke shaves. I want
Obviously.
to definitely get those. The curved ones and the flat, I guess that would be the convex one. Yes. And the straight.
Concave. You like the
Concave.
concave?
We talked about, what'd you say? What's your tip? Tell me your tip on cave and vex.
Okay. Concave is going into a cave.
Yes. Convex is out. Okay, that's good to
It's
remember.
curved
the,
out.
the concave and the flat. He had a very large Lee Nelson cabinet scraper. I don't have one that large. I want to get that one. Played around with that a little bit. And the other one would be I purposely picked up the number 4 because I've heard Sedge he likes that one a lot. and I like that one too. So I plan on getting that as well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was trying to keep it not overwhelming, but I'm going after all those. I've already been on the website and checked them out.
Have you really?
Hmm.
Yeah. Now you were using the 4.5, right? Yeah. Or the
Yes,
four. Four and a
the
half is the one that we like.
the four and a
Yeah.
half. What's good
Yeah,
you
that's
said
the
that.
that was the big one.
Yeah, and then the I looked at the spoke shaves already out there, and they're all
Yeah.
available down to the small, the little like the brass one to the ones with the wooden handles.
Yeah.
So they're not too bad.
Yeah,
They're
because that was
we've
kind of
used
funny because Steve said his first lead nails was a 4.5, and that was my first, the 4.5.
okay. It was interesting because I've used a draw knife for the purposes that we were using the spoke shave, and it's nice because it keeps you from going too deep. It's
Yep.
so it's definitely something I could see added, especially on the axe handle that Cameron recently worked on. That would have been nice to have
Mm-hmm.
instead of a draw knife.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because I think at one point Jason was like, "Man, you're a natural," but it's because I'm used to using a draw knife without any help, like without you're having. If you, that's the way to learn. Learn with a draw knife first, and if you can make slivers with a draw knife, it's easy to do it with a smoke shave because
Yeah.
Right.
you're
Can't
it
go too
saves you
deep.
from overcutting. Huh? What was
Yeah,
that?
you can't go too deep with a spoke
Yeah,
shave.
you can't, but you can with a draw knife. You can go really deep.
Real quick. Yeah.
But then also the chisels, seeing ultra super sharp chisel is always fun. And Jason and I spent most of the day making this amazing creation of Dr. Seuss curls that curled up like 6-inch ribbon curls on both sides of a board perfectly down each side. I luckily have a picture of it. Sedge walks by towards the end of the day, looks at it, takes a cobalt chisel and just scrapes them all off and then
Yep.
walks away.
Yep. It's traumatizing.
He's
If
like,
I'm being honest, it to me it looked like something that you probably would have seen some sort of hand carved piece of furniture that would have been like in George Washington's house. Like it
yeah,
was that
yeah.
level
Yeah. Yeah.
of
I never knew that
professionalism.
Sedge was the kid at the beach when I built the sandcastle that came over and just kicked it over. I never knew
Yeah.
that. I never
Yeah.
begged him for
I knew
that.
right then.
But I also know in my wisdom now to know that is jealousy. That was
Absolutely.
he was
Oh my
jealous
God.
of the
Oh
curls.
my God. You guys were posting all this stuff on Instagram, Ghost and all this stuff.
That man, that was the best. I'll never forget that. I swear to you, Sedge, I am going to get that picture blown up and I am putting that in my shop.
Oh, it was just
Oh,
it was we what did Steve says, man, those guys are brutal. I go, yeah, it's fun. It's
okay.
fun
So
hanging out.
what's Sedge, what are you going to get after your trip?
I'm interested to hear what
Oh,
Jason
Jason. Okay.
Okay,
Jason, you're
so um I walked away from there thinking of a lot of things that I would like to have. Because I am enjoying more and more utilizing hand tools on things now that I'm like forcing myself to do it. Now that I also have a Tormek, so I can sharpen easily and not really have to worry about it so much. Um, Probably the shooting plane. I really
mm.
liked that a
Oh
lot.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, the spoke shaves. I'm with Ronnie. I
Mhm.
I would love to have a couple of those. Um, Other than that was a lot mostly things that I'd messed with before. I didn't get into a lot of his more specialty stuff. Um, yeah, I would say those.
Can
Those
I
would
add
be
one
oh,
more?
the violinist plane and
Oh
the
yeah, that's
very
cool.
the real tiny block plane too. Though I've always wanted to get those, but just messing with those there, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to bite the bullet and get these.
The other thing that I took a picture of was the woodpecker clamp it, that triangle one that holds the Bessie bar clamps. I have a
Yes.
wood version of that I made that works great, but because it's wood, it's not quite as compact, and it's worked great for like 2 or 3 years. I just need to bite the bullet and get some of those because they hold a tremendous amount. Doesn't take up a lot of wall space. I just need to get some of those. It seems like to me the best way to store those clamps
Okay,
because they take
buddies.
up so much room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually took
He,
a picture of that to remind myself of that.
Here's one thing that I did want to ask you guys and see if you noticed. So being in the content creation side of things and making videos about specific tools, um, sometimes when I go in other people's shops and I see the different tools and stuff that they have, even whether they're boxed up or not, or they're being used, I do feel a lot of times that like it's to me, it seems like, okay, did they get that specific tool because of a video that I did? Or like I saw his ultimate ultra quick shot that he had. It was like sitting in the box, and then a lot of TSO stuff. And sometimes I always just wonder, like I go into shops and I'm like, man, there's a lot of things in this shop that I've done videos about or things that I have in my own shop. Like I wonder how much of that, and I'm not saying that's the case with Steve, but I always wonder how much of their tool purchasing decisions come from those styles of videos, because when you walk in and you see like an abundance of these things that you've like done content about, and as somebody that's supporting you and as a Patreon or patron and all that stuff, I wonder how much of a crossover there is there.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure it is. I mean, because every time I watch, like if I go outside the tool world and say I'm watching a boat video, if I
Mm-hmm.
start seeing them use a certain type of gauges or a certain type of, I
Right.
instantly think more of that gauge when I go
Mm-hmm.
out and see it on Amazon or wherever I'm looking. I'm like, oh, that's the gauges he was using. And it makes me feel better about it for sure.
Yeah. Sedge, what about you? You have all the
Glenn
hand
Drake,
tools.
Glenn Drake type mark too. I really he had like three of them, marking gauges. And I know Jason, you have one, but sometimes Jason, over your house, we just start talking about things and going from one thing to another. But I really got a chance to use it, and I really like it. And I have an antique Stanley marking gauge that's similar. I've had a couple Veritas marking gauges, but there's just something about that tight mark. Um, it's really nice. So I think I'm going to get that. I like the micro adjust on it. It's real precise.
Yeah, those are sweet.
Oh, and then there was some other stuff. Steve already sent me a video on something. Like I need another dovetail. But I got a chance to use um the Cosman dovetail saw that has
Oh
20 that
yeah.
has in the very front the 22 TPI, and then it goes to 15, and it's a lot easier to start. But right now, my favorite dovetail, so I don't need to upgrade to anything. I've always used the Lee Nielsen, but now I have that blue spruce dovetail saw, and it's the cat's freaking pajamas. It's like cutting on rails. Um, I love the shooting, all the different shooting planes he had. Um, but there was something else that I really liked. Oh, you remember I said I was using that and I was doing a scratch bead, the beater
Oh
that he
yeah.
had from Lee Nielsen. I came home and I have an antique Stanley one. So I scratched the 3B this morning and it works great. I just got to tighten up on the scrapers, but that Lee Nielsen one is really nice.
Yeah, that was neat.
Um, I have two. I have a Stanley and I have another one. There's no maker's mark on it, but it's really nice. It looks like the Lee Nielsen. So if need be, I think I just get some of the replacement plates for the Lee Nielsen scrapers. It's basically a scratch stock. Uh, that was something I was going to get right away, but I don't need it. I have it. What else? Boy, there was so many cool tools, and just seeing some of the stuff that he had that were really rarely Nielsen's that are no longer made. It's pretty cool to see. I have quite a few myself, but just and then all of a sudden, you guys remember how I freaked out when I was all into that one area? Then I
Yeah.
walk back, and he's got all these Stanleys sitting back there.
Hmm.
I was like, oh my God, from a number two all the way up to an eight. He had some heavy iron. And I was like, oh, wow. So he's in the midst of refurbishing all of those. Some of those were his family. And it was pretty cool.
Oh,
And what was really cool is when we pulled onto the street, it was Iderola Street.
yeah. Yeah.
And that whole farmstead was all developed off of the family's property. It was pretty
And
cool to hear
and
the
then
history of where he lives.
and I was half joking when I asked we were heading to lunch and it was like Teresa Drive or something along those lines. And I was like, who's Teresa? And he's like, that's my great grandmother. And he was being serious. And I was like, oh wow. He's like, yeah, that's everybody in the neighborhood, the names are kind of
Didn't
followed back to the family.
didn't your great grandmother know Teresa well?
Well, no, she sold to his great grandfather, who that later
Oh,
developed it, and then it
oh.
became that. So
Uh,
he was actually before that when it was farmland. Yeah. So I checked. I don't know if we were related or I don't know. Might be.
Oh my God.
But it was cool. That sandwich shop, I know we touched on in a second, but
Oh,
one of those places you could tell when you walk in that you're just supposed to know what to do. It reminds me of that Seinfeld episode because they're all standing around that like deli counter thing, and I'm looking at the whiteboard and I'm like, okay, there's an Italian stallion sandwich. That sounds good. So she's like, what do you want? I'm like, Italian stallion. And she just kept staring at me like, you're supposed to give me more than that. And I'm sitting there and I was like, I looked at her, I was like, what else do you want me to give you right now? What do you want to get? She pointed to the breads in front and she's like, what?
yeah.
And I was like, whatever you think. And she's like, point to, I'm like, yes. But I felt like such a not regular. They knew we
That's
were out of our element, you know?
that's why I stuck right with Steve and went to the same guy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was rogue. I went over when she said anybody else and I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But he
Boy,
said
was
he
that
goes there
cool.
regularly, and I understand because it was like a little grocery store in the back. They just there was well, how many people were back there making
Yeah,
five
five or
people maybe?
six.
Yeah, going fast too. That was a hopping place, and it's just right in the middle of the neighborhood. Very cool spot. That whole area is just it's kind of like it's cool because you can tell it's been around since like I don't know like the 50s or 60s. The whole area and just it's very neat.
Sedge, I had a
Yeah.
question for you.
Shoot.
With the shooting planes that he had, there
Mhm.
was two that we used. We used the big one that was, the L iron.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that we used that was more like a square and it had that weird knob in the back.
Yeah.
It
Hot
had the
dog.
handle. The hot dog
And
one, yeah.
the hot dog, yeah. Both of them are shooters. Uh,
Do
and
they
there's
they
the one
both do the
that got
same thing, right?
yeah, they both do the same thing. One's just smaller. But the big shooting plane is the one they still produce, but on limited runs. And the thing is that is pretty much a shop because of the size of it. The one that even the kids were using, that
Yeah.
smaller one, it could be portable for job site, but they don't make. I believe they don't make that anymore, and that was modeled off for Stanley as well.
So here's my question when it comes to a shooting board. And I think Ronnie alluded to this while we were there. So that sits tied up against the edge of that shooting board, but the lip is higher. It's high enough to where it's touching the blade partially. How is that blade
Okay.
not cutting the shooting board as well as the material? Like how is it getting a
Okay, so
flush?
I was trying to show you that. Okay, so you have the fence in front, and then you have that lip that it sits on, right?
Right?
And if you could have felt it as soon as you pulled past the blade, there's clearance, but it's very fine. It's basically the thickness of the cut. It pushes against the thing, so you go like this and you bring it back, and it pushes to the front of the sole. So that's how it clears. There's an offset from the front to the back because of the blade.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like a
I
joiner.
was I thought I was kind of showing that. It's like a jointer.
Yeah, it's like a joiner. I guess when you're pushing on that handle, you're actually pushing on the rear part of it and not the
Hmm.
front. So you could actually use it wrong and be pushing towards the front of it, and you're going to actually be you're not accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. That's the best way
And
for me to understand.
the best thing to do is build a shooting board, and you'll understand the offsets of everything
Yeah, I need to build
as
a
you do it.
couple.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Because
really cool.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to wrap your head around it because you could actually, when you pull it back, you could hear it click into the front sole, and then you make another cut. You come back, it clicks over, but it's such a minute offset after you trim that.
I just the thing I keep thinking in my head is like that blade is sticking out of the sole. The sole is up against that lip, and the blade is touching it. So I'm like, I feel like you would always be cutting, the board that you butt it up against to go back and forth. And maybe, yeah, maybe even if it is, it doesn't make any difference because it's still contacting in the front and back. Yeah, I don't know. Now I want to feel like I wonder if they have that one right now. You said that that's a limited edition
Yeah,
or
well,
limited run.
they do limited runs and they sell out really quick. I was talking to Steve about it because I haven't bought a Lee Nielsen in quite a few years. I kind of gave up because you couldn't get any during the pandemic. You
Oh
looking it
my,
up?
Yeah, look at all of their fancy stuff, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I was
dude.
on their website for a while, actually three different times now. He influenced us.
Yeah.
Yes, he
We
did.
we got influenced.
I mean,
Oh
I
man.
definitely left there. Oh, here we go. Let's do special purpose tools. Let's see what we got here. Up there's the spoke shaves. There's the card scraper ones. Chisel plane. They got a small chisel plane.
Yep. I got that one.
Man, they got all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh, dude.
Shoulder planes.
Yeah. He had all of them, plus the ones that no longer made.
Here we
But
go.
oh, I also need to say something else too, though, on this line of thinking. I went down the rabbit hole and then I remembered, I don't want to forget that I plan on going to Melbourne Tools as well and seeing before I go down this rabbit hole, what do they offer that maybe would be just as good
Yes.
for me?
Also a good idea.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the collection thing and but for me, I definitely don't need to be brand loyal and specific. I'm definitely not going to build the full collection of any brand. So I'm also going to go and see what they're offering. So I had to remind myself that three times. I get caught up
You know
in
what I
one
didn't see at
brand.
his shop?
What?
I didn't see a router plane.
Oh, he
Yeah,
had them.
he
Oh
had
yeah, he
them.
had them.
It
Did
was
he?
in the middle. It was in the middle of the
Oh
shelf.
yeah.
I found the shooting number 51 shoot board plane.
Mm-hmm.
650 bucks. Place back order. Oh man.
Yeah.
But like you said, you could use just a standard four or
Yes.
five, turn it on its
Yep.
side.
Yep. And a lot of people do that.
Block planes. Let's see what they got. There's my little violin maker one. Low
Yeah,
angle block
I
pane.
love the small ones.
And they're available. I can order it right now.
We have a little Veritas. It's like 2 inches long, and we use it all the time.
Interesting.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool, huh?
that was cool. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it was a great trip, and I feel
So
like we all learned stuff. Everybody learned something.
Oh, for sure.
what I
Yeah,
liked about it is he had all of them, and there's sometimes I see stuff, and I'm like, I don't need that. And then all of a sudden, I feel the weight and the fit and feel of it. And I'll say, for instance, the little rat tail and the little violin makers playing were pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so fun.
Spoke shaves. Look at that. Man. Oh, I'm totally gonna get some stuff.
I'll tell you though, something else I was thinking along the same lines. It reminds me of the way I think of Bessie clamps. You know how they're expensive, but if you just kind of keep in mind and just do one every once in a while, like one a month or one, I think of those are the same way. If you just, even if someone was like, I'm just going to get one a quarter or one, every 2 months, it adds up. It's no different than
And
Festool.
but
Sometimes,
I
go
will
ahead.
tell you, the Melbourne makes some really nice spoke shaves
Yes. Well, see,
as
I need to
well.
definitely check that out.
Definitely want to
Um,
check that out. Melbourne makes great spoke shaves. Where did I try one? I think oh, where was I? I felt the Melbourne and I felt the handles and I really liked them.
Did he have them
yes,
at Workbench Con?
I
I don't think so.
don't think so. I I was somewhere and I tried a Melbourne spoke shave. I think I might have been at Mueller. I'm not sure.
Mueller.
Mueller,
Yeah.
Mueller. And there was
But
somewhere whatever. They're just listen, it's not like pick one brand and just stick with it. That's no, you gotta feel things like okay, so I got 4 or 5 different draw knives, right? Guess what? That draw knife, the way the handles felt in my hand were so nice, especially that curved one.
Yeah.
mhm,
Okay. And I'm gonna tell you, I like that too. But even the straight draw knife was nice because
mhm,
of the splay of the handles.
mhm.
The control, and
Mhm.
I think I had really good control. I have like 3 or 4 real good antique ones, plus the flex cut. which I know you have that one, Ronnie, that small
Yeah,
one, because I
I
can
have that.
get great control with that.
Hmm.
But yeah,
But
so I'm just like,
I think
I I I,
it's
I don't want to get it just to get it nowadays
yeah, and
because
that's
I have sufficient draw knives, but boy, I'll tell you right now, to everything I own, that was superior.
yeah, I think that's the benefit of doing this staged buying is if you go out and buy it all the same time, you may end up, having things you don't use. But if you it gives you time to think out each one of the purchases and make it segmented and you don't really ever feel it if you break it up. I think that's near and dear to my heart right now because I just did a post not long ago when everybody sees my van that I get comments a lot. People are like, your tools in your van cost more than my house. They'll say things like that. And it's like I always had the same thought. I'm like, 20 years, 20 years of getting tools.
Yeah.
It adds up.
I I
You
hate
know,
it. I hate it when people say that to
they
me.
don't realize that one at a time, it's not that bad. But if you think about going out, yeah, if you go out and buy them all at the same time, yeah, it'd be a big hit. But at the same
Mhm.
time, if you go out and buy them all at the same time, you're going to buy stuff you don't need.
But it's so
So
much more fun.
but it has to be over time, or you're going to have stuff you don't need.
Well, the
No,
thing is I agree, Ronnie, but it's also you can also go out and buy a bunch, but you're not going to use them all at once.
yeah, yeah.
You know? So that's why guys, I've been buying tools my whole life, man, for 40 years. Give me a break. I did all get them at once. And there's a lot of times I bought inferior tools because that's all I could afford, but I needed to get those to get the job done. And
Yeah.
then I upgraded.
So, and that's where my 20 years comes in. I've been buying tools for 30, but I would say the first 10, I was convinced that I could get it done with tools that were not able to do the job. And I'd say about 20 years ago, I figured that out. And I'm still using tools that I bought 20 years ago. There's very few things I've ever gotten rid of after like
Yeah.
20 years ago because I kind of started going down the right track of
Mm.
trying to buy once, you know.
Yeah.
But
So I want to make a comment too because I hear this a lot, and it's about different brands. So I have I want to talk about chisels because Steve had all the Lee Nielsen chisels that were to die for, right? Um, I have blue spruce now, and I had Marples blue chips for a long time. I got the job done with the Marples. Are they 100? Are the Lee Nielsen's better? Probably a better steel, but I'll put those Marples up against them. So blue spruce chisels. Oh my God. Out of the box, they're polished. And you guys saw that cobalt, which was
yes,
probably a 16th of the cost of one of my blue spruce. But think of all the work that you have to put in to get the machine marks for lapping and stuff like that. So what I'm going to say is blue spruce is good. Lee Nielsen's good.
Melbourne.
Marples, the old Marples are good, right? It's the steel,
Hmm.
the Veritas, PM, whatever, and then this brand and this brand. They're all good. It's just, I tell people you don't have to stick with one brand. I never, ever thought I'd need another dovetail saw. Holy crap, was I mistaken? That blue spruce is unbelievable. So sometimes you have to try it
Hmm.
because sometimes we all get marketed to, of course, but sometimes you have to try it. It's like, okay, I'll bring it to festival. People like they buy a track saw in the early days. They go, I thought this was a gimmick. Oh my
And
God.
and you do have to buy a tool that's inferior the first time to even be able to appreciate what we're talking about. Because if
Yeah.
you started out with these high premium, you're like, it's doing what it should do, but you don't appreciate it because you haven't had one of the, starter type
Yes.
chisels or planes, and it makes you just be like, wow. You
Yeah.
know, versus
It,
do it for the first time, you're like, okay, but
it,
you have more of appreciation when you've had a lesser tool.
and there's a problem with that too. Say I buy an inferior hand plane and I give up hand tools because it's a piece of crap, and I never experience a really good brand.
Hmm.
Follow me?
Yeah.
Or I give up woodworking because I get these shitty chisels at Home Cheapo, right? And I don't, and they can't hold an edge, and they think they're sharp because they're brand new, and it sours somebody's woodworking experience from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a tough thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
hate,
mean,
I hate it when people say, "Oh, I hate hand planes." I go, "Well, what kind of hand plane do you have?" Right? What's your experience with it?
The more I use them and the sharper they are, the more I am definitely starting to enjoy it because it's a fun experience. It's just like when I turned with you that one time and I felt like I was part of the project
Yeah.
and it was like so like I was controlling what was happening. I felt the exact same way when we were messing around with that spoke shave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel the same way when I'm messing around with the chisel. I feel the same way anytime I'm using a hand plane. Like I'm doing that, a machine isn't doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's why I'm enjoying it much more. I still don't know if I'm ever going to be the guy that loves cutting dovetails. Like they're okay, but like if I had a lot to do, I probably would never cut them by hand. You know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
do it on a machine.
I did.
But if I was
I
making like
did.
one cool, like one off decorative box that I'm trying to test my skills, then yeah, of course, sure.
Yeah, in the midst of today, I was in the shop all day doing drawer boxes, and I think I did 12.
Really?
No, 15. I'm up to 15 drawer boxes.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because I have 18 of the 4 inch and six of the uh 10 and a half inch. And I was thinking I'm putting them all together with dominoes. And I was thinking, what if I had used my shaper to do box joints? You know? Uh that's a lot of time in. It's
Yeah.
I have a lot of time in doing the domino and doing two
Oh
per
yeah.
joint.
Yeah.
But it's the last time I'm gonna do it for the miter saw stand, you know?
Hmm.
And it's kind of nice having the day off and you go out and you knock out three boxes and then take a break, do another three boxes. And I'll do a video this weekend on it, on the joinery part. And I like doing it, but there's only way to say it. It's a shit ton of work.
Yeah.
Is that is that Tom Silva?
He just jumped up in my lap. Yep.
You know why?
Why?
He because of last week. He's the
You
fly
know what?
catcher.
I want to see if you can see it on his neck. He has dried blood all over his chest for where he's killed something. Like his
Nice.
whole chest on the bottom. Show me your blood. Show me your blood. Well, so I don't want to go stress out too much when his little automatic feeder sometimes doesn't work when I leave for a few days. I think he's eating
Yeah.
outside. I think I think that's why his belly is so big. I think I'm just his supplemental
Oh
feeder.
my God.
I think he's having fun.
What if we got a snake?
Where?
Oh,
He could have got a snake.
Oh, I thought you said we've got a snake. I'm like, where?
Oh,
He
just
could
yeah,
have.
cruising around the house.
Yeah, hopefully there's one. He'll get it.
yeah, you fly free tonight. Who
You
was
know
getting
what?
the flies yesterday or this weekend?
Jason was
Somebody,
getting
Me,
a fly in the airport.
Jason, that's right.
He had one circling his head like the whole time.
at the Sky Club,
Yes.
buzzing around my head. I was like, man, I feel like Ronnie.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Oh,
I had a great
your
time.
um
That was
your
a
mic
fun
just
trip.
kicked off.
Of
Yep, it
course it
did.
did. Hold on. Hold on. You guys talk while I fix it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So that was a fun time.
Yes,
And
it was.
it was cool watching you guys when Steve and I were talking off the side, watching you two knuckleheads with the spoke shaves. I was like, yeah, all
Fun.
right.
We're having fun.
You guys are
It
doing good.
was
And that was a beautiful creation. I'm sorry I spoiled it and
it
kick
was
sand
beautiful. I'm just
and,
glad I have a
and kick
picture.
sand on you.
Just got a picture of it. That's good to post it.
Is
Oh,
am I better now?
no.
No,
Do it now. Do it again.
Seriously?
Yeah, you are.
now it's good.
You're good now.
Yeah, it says
You
I'm
just
connected to it.
overdrove the audio for a second like this, and I was like, "Oh, it's not
I
it."
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's time I need to get. I might have to replace this or the cable or something. But I've started to have a lot of issues with it. You
Yeah,
guys have a
mine has a kink in it that I had to be really careful from where I picked it up once and I kind of over bent it.
Mm,
So I have
that's
to be
how
really careful.
that's what happened with my Yeti. Remember my Yeti that I had? Was it a Yeti? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
called like
that's
the Blue Monster or something.
I want to get one
yeah,
of those mounts that Steve has on his desk.
yeah, that's nice.
The one on the edge of the table that you can just put it out of the way and it like articulates exactly where you want
Yeah,
it.
they call that the up, down, over, and down.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah, that's the
Oh
model.
yeah, didn't
yeah, the
your
Yeah,
up down
great
over and
grandmother invent that?
yeah, she
I'm
invented
pretty
the
sure she did.
technology, but not the
Oh,
actual
Mm.
arc. She didn't know what it could be used for. She was like, if they ever come up with like any way of electronic sizing audio, she's like, this would be a good thing, but right now that doesn't exist. So I'm just going to table that. She has a table folder.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
Elon Musk got into her folder and like,
No,
Can we?
yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. Can we talk about Elon Musk for a second?
yes,
did you see that?
robot.
No, the
Yes.
landing they did. The landing
Yes,
they
the
did.
landing. Two things: landing and the robot.
The
Have-
chopsticks catch. Did you see that?
It doesn't
I
look
did
real.
not.
It looks like it's running in reverse.
It came down in the space. What's it called space?
The
I forget.
booster
Yeah, the booster came down, and all of a sudden it started firing,
to slow it
and it
down.
went to the landing pad, and it had two things that came in and went like this on the booster, and the thing just went right down and landed in it.
Grabbed it,
They call it the bracket, they call it the chopsticks catcher or
and
whatever.
they said it was super heavy, and it just grabs it and just grabbed it like a little pencil.
To
It'd be so cool.
reuse it. It is so freaking brilliant.
Yeah, I'd heard before that that's the most expensive part of space travel, and if you could recoup that, it's going to significantly reduce. And he said that's what he was going to do, and he's done it. It was really cool.
But the
What?
technology to guide the guidance of that to get that's unmanned.
Yeah,
And
it
to
was.
get that to catch that, which we used to, I guess, with NASA, just used to dump those in the ocean.
Yeah, that's
What?
what they
Right?
used to just. They were throwaway.
They were
Yeah,
throwaway in the ocean.
yeah. They would
The
just go
thing?
recover them.
I mean, he's been doing the self-landed boosters for
This
quite some
this
time. Yeah,
is
I
the
haven't seen this
first.
chopstick thing you're talking about.
This is the first time this was done. The what we're
Yeah.
talking about. I saw that today. And then the robot thing.
No,
I'm
the
apparently
robot and the autonomous cars.
Yeah, that's
yes,
cool. The
the
vans and
robot
everything.
thing. So really surprised me when they said 20 to 30,000 for the robot, because I started thinking, if this thing can like do your household chores and like mow your grass and do all this, that could be pretty cheap. There's people that probably employ people for 50,000 a year just to help out in their house and around their house. So I'm like, if they get that at 20 to 30,000 dollar point, that's going to be popular. Like get somewhere
I
we're gonna actually see it.
Well,
yeah.
think how much a kid costs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's actually. I mean, although that's a lot of money, it's affordable for somebody who's paying people to do things. It's affordable for some people. It's almost like a helicopter. It's like everybody wants one. You got to price them up a little bit higher. Everybody would buy one, and I think that's what this is. But I instantly even thought about the exoactive skeleton is $3,500. And this is a robot. Not that it's super strong, but it's a robot capable of doing tasks and walking around, talking to you. It has artificial intelligence. It can fold clothes and do things like that. I saw it demonstrated. Did you see it folding clothes? It's
Yeah.
folding
I saw
laundry.
it pouring beers. I saw it
Yes.
checking IDs. I saw
It,
it
Oh, I haven't seen
having
any of
I
that.
have oh my God, I have been
and it
watching
talks
so
like a
many videos.
person. It talks
Yes.
like a person. The one guy at the bar goes, "Hey, fill that up to the top for me." And he looks at it and he does a little bit more. And he's like, "Okay, how about that?" And he's like, "Okay, that's good." More of the. And it's not like a robot that we heard would talk like this. He's talking like a normal person, and
He's
that's
talking
Yeah.
like we're
freaky.
talking.
And it is
You had
so
me at full
smart.
you had me at folding laundry.
Yeah, and it's so smart. Whoever thought of it, instead of the robot having a face, it's just a black plexiglass, like glass face with no face. And I think that's so smart because if not, it would freak people out.
Yeah.
It says very strongly, I am not a person. And I think that was very smart, very well
I
played.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I think it's really incredible and it's amazing. And I knew it was only a matter of time, but I definitely got some iRobot vibes, the Will Smith movie,
Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah.
like they look very similar to that. And then I'm just like, what is going on? Like this is incredible. And it's also terrifying because you never know. Like, what if the thing like falls over and like lands on your kid, or like, goes haywire and like smashes your windows or something? Like,
It is
but
crazy.
the stuff that I saw, like he had a whole like conference. He was talking about the autonomous cars, and then he had like a party, and he had all these robots out like doing tasks and just walking around and doing different things, and people were testing the capabilities of these robots. That was the whole purpose of it. And so there was one that was sitting behind the bar that was pouring drinks, and like off of a keg, like a tap, he was serving drinks to people. And he was like, it asked that for the ID from somebody. And this dude pulls out a credit card to test to see what it would do. He takes the card, he's holding his hand, he's looking at it, and says, "This is not an identification card." Gives it back to him, and he finally gave him the identification card, and it recognized that it was an identification card, and that it was amazing. I was like, holy cow,
It's
this is
amazing.
unreal.
And you think about how much all this is coming together at the same time. We have the latest battery technology that's very recent that allows things like I'm thinking of like remote control cars and things to drones to be the most like amazing they've ever been before battery life. You got artificial intelligence. That's just you got the camera with that with artificial intelligence. Like the speak voice automated, the synthetic voices now are the best they've ever been before. All of that comes to play. Servo motors, all that stuff, that all that's required to have that robot. And all of that has happened within the last like, 10 or 15 years has
I
really
know.
came. And that's what it took before we could do this. And now we have the technology. Computers are small enough. None of this could have been done just not very long ago. But I told Kelly about this morning and she instantly said, never, I will never have that. Never, ever, ever. And I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, some some people don't realize how it could really help out your daily task and things that we have to do. Like,
Fold laundry.
I mean, think about, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to have an app that you could say, okay, from here on out, Sunday night, you go out the door, you get the trash can, you roll it down to the curb. You do it every Sunday night. And it's like, never have to think about it again. Done. You know, it's like that kind of thinking. Wow. That's
Think how much your time's
mind
worth.
blowing. Yeah.
Think how much your time's worth. So you remember that movie with Michael Keaton where he started to clone himself? He was a contractor, he's a house builder, and he cloned himself, and then he cloned himself again because he
Yeah.
found out I can hang out at home and they'll do all the work for me, and I'll collect their
Right.
salary, and
Right.
then I'll learn how to do this. And he had like 4 or 5 clones. It was hysterical. But then I love that movie. I've watched it 10 times when it first came out. And I was just like, think about a world where I had, you just have to worry about, your relationship with the missus, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
it was really a great movie. It made me think about my time and what
Hmm.
if I had an extra one of me. And
Yeah.
that's what I look at this whole thing when it comes to robots or AI and automation. I'm embracing it. I know there's some dangers to it, but I saw a picture of the robot. I haven't seen any video
Oh
of it because I've
man,
been busy.
It
So I'm
looks
gonna
look for
like
some
tonight
videos.
after the podcast. I'm gonna go check it out.
you know what, Sedge, if it wasn't for the hip area, the pelvic area having a hinge on it, you
Yeah.
would think that it was the guy in a robot suit. And
Yep.
it's not real. You're like, there's no way that's because he's talking normal. His motions are so smooth. They're as smooth as a person's. And they ask him to dance at one point at that party Jason's talking about.
Mhm.
And he starts doing this little number where it looks like it is a person. It's freaky. It really is.
I had to look
Pretty cool.
multiple times because I'm like, yeah, this isn't real. Like somebody is in this thing.
Yeah.
And then I realized the same thing. I was like, look, I'm like, there's no way this could not be
I I
real.
saw a little bit of the footage or the renderings of the vans and the AI, the autonomous vans and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. I know it's coming. Wait a minute. I know it's here with autonomous trucking and stuff like that. And the cab system looked pretty cool too. And I didn't realize that there's 1,200 of the Google ones working in California, I think they said.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
There
didn't
are
There's
I didn't realize. I thought, oh, I was only like maybe 100 of them. No, it's
yeah.
crazy. And we're just not, I mean, I live in Indiana. I'm not seeing any of that in Indianapolis area. That seems
well,
like it's all West Coast.
what I thought was fascinating is the whole idea behind the autonomous car. Most people look at that and go, "Oh, cool! I have a car that'll just drive me one from one place to another." But he was talking about how every car gets used 5 to 10% a week of the time. He's like, "What if you could change it to where that car is running 100% of the time that you're not using it, and it's making you money to do it until you get to a point where like." People don't have to own vehicles anymore or drive because there is a fleet of autonomous cars that are out that you can get anytime you want. And if you're one of those people that owns one or a fleet of them, it's generating you money constantly and it's clearing up the roads and it's
Mhm.
unbelievable. I was just
It
blown
really
away.
is. It is. Cameron had a really good point today with Kelly when she said that she would never have a robot. And also with the autonomous, people are like, I don't trust cars driving around. He said that he saw that one time when the automatic transmission came out, that people were like, there's no way I'm going to let a machine decide when I changes my gears in
Right
my
now, you can't
car.
even get a
Ah,
manual car in the United
Yeah.
States.
yeah.
And you think about that far back that there was a time then that was the thought that no way, I change gears myself.
Yeah.
Never going to trust a car. And
People
then
just
now,
don't like
like,
change.
yeah.
They
And
fight
now
Right.
change.
cars, there's a lot of cars where it's not even a manual, it's an option because it's just not as good as the car can decide itself.
Yeah.
So cool.
Crazy world we live in. All right.
Okay.
Well,
Bye.
Bye bye.
I'm gonna I'm gonna close this one because I have to get up and go to Germany tomorrow.
Hey, have a safe travel. You
Yes.
Thank
and
you,
the
sir.
family. Yep. Bye bye.
Yeah.
I'll miss you guys, especially when you record without me next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Every time.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Hey, Demi Moore.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.